As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be.
Oh man, it's 8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a.
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
BravBros. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of BravBros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Shooter Magooter. What's up, dude?
Feels like it's our first episode all over again. We haven't recorded in a very long time.
It's only been like 5 days, but it does feel like a very long time.
5 days, really?
Southern Charm Part 2 was last week. Maybe like a week. Maybe a week. It hasn't been longer than a week.
Long. We haven't gone this long without recording.
This is the longest.
Be a little rusty.
Come on. Nah, we still, we got the chops fine-tuned. We just had it in a different way. We did our live show. We had Watch What Happens Live. We're coming down from the craziest week we've had since we started this whole thing.
Yeah. I made the mistake of going out and celebrating Saturday. I should have just stayed in all weekend, but I didn't.
Oh, you went out like Saturday,
yeah.
Post-show?
Yeah.
Oh, God, how? Why?
I don't know where the energy came from.
Dude, I was dead, and I don't drink, and I felt like I got hit by an actual bus. I'm still feeling it today. Like, I'm still not 100% recovered yet.
Yeah, oddly enough, the only thing that's going to get me right is going back to an office.
Yeah.
As much as I bitch and complain about it, yeah, I need to go back and get some normalcy in my life.
Get you back to your routine, but yeah, dude, it was an insane week, and obviously we have a lot to tell you guys, and we wanted to take this episode. We're going to do RHOSLC Part 3, but since that's already happened and has been talked about, we thought we'd spice it up a little bit by giving you like a little Watch What Happens / live show, just kind of a recap, answer some questions. We got lots of questions from you guys about Watch What Happens Live. I think multiple people asked how it smelled.
I saw that.
Which
I don't remember it smelling any different.
Good.
Because I don't think any of the books in there are actually real. So it's not like it's going to smell like a nice old leather-bound book.
Yeah, no, it was, it smelled nice, I guess. It didn't smell
mahogany.
Bad. It's not a notable smell, so it was a good aroma. That's what you want to know, right? Like, these are the hard-hitting questions. Like, you got two bros on the inside finally, and we're going to tell you it smelled good.
It smelled good. Yeah, that's huge for us. Really set the tone.
But no, we're going to do a little walkthrough of that night. We're going to talk about the live show, and then we're going to tie it all together with RHOSLC Part 3 because we got to put a bow on the season. We can't leave it open-ended, but it wasn't the best reunion episode, and that's what happens when you get 3 parts.
I said that I wasn't going to eat I'm still not eating my words. I'm still okay with it being 3 parts.
Oh, I am too.
Because the first 2 were good, and obviously there was a lead up, and there's a lot to take away from the 3rd episode just based off of how people generally developed throughout the reunion and things that landed, things that definitely did not land, which we'll get into later. It was still necessary for all 3 parts. So I'll take this as an absolute win.
Yeah, I think that was a solid 3-part. It's as good of a 3-parter as we've seen. That's not saying a lot, but the 3rd episode definitely dragged on a little bit, but it was good enough and answered enough questions and also left enough cliffhangers once again but those cliffhangers, I'm pretty sure, can be put to rest now. Like, I don't think we have to rehash the black eye ever again.
No, and just like Ryan Bailey said on yesterday's episode, they're going to start off next season with new beginnings, which we've seen across the Bravo franchise. It was Nuevos Horizontes in Miami, and it's new beginnings everywhere else. So
that was New Horizons, though. This is a new beginning.
The same type of thing. Actually, no, if you think about it, the first episode of RHOSLC this year was a New Beginnings episode. They went out and they did that whole snowball fight thing.
I agree, but at the same time, they were still so shattered from Jen Shah, as we saw in the reunion episode, that I think that was wishful thinking, but we'll get to that. First and foremost, let's talk about a little Watch What Happens Live. And it was one of the coolest experiences I've had in my life / professional life. But let's talk about the lead up. Like, were you nervous going into it?
I got stuck on your professional life. Like, you went pro in life?
In my professional life. Like, my working life? What do you think professional life
I don't know.
means?
I don't know why I got stuck on it. I don't know why I got stuck on it. It's okay.
When you refer to your professional life, what do you think you're talking about?
Career?
Yeah.
Just say career.
Why can't I say professional life?
Sounds like you went pro in life.
I went
feel
pro
like you're
in
still in the
baseball.
minors.
I went pro in baseball, so I can't go pro in life.
I don't know.
I'm more pro. If you want to break it down, if you want to get to the
all right,
nitty gritty,
all right.
I'm technically more pro than you because I did go pro in something. bitch.
I don't think that's how that works at all.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, no, I wasn't necessarily nervous going into it. It was just like I have no fucking idea what to expect. I didn't know what was going to happen, where we were going to be, what everything was going to look like, how hot those lights were going to be.
Yeah.
Things like that. Generally, the things that just kind of go through your mind before you go on live TV. Yeah, everybody knows that.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, it was incredible. It was an absolute whirlwind of a half an hour. We were only out there for maybe 40 minutes, and they run an absolute tight ship.
Yeah, they don't fuck around at all.
Yeah, when we got in there, we went right back to our green room. We had our whole posse. We call it a posse? We had a crew?
I prefer crew, but if you want to call them a posse,
Let's call them a posse. We had our posse going in there, and people came in, gave us different things, like got mic'd up, gave us the rundown, because we did not watch the third episode of RHOSLC before we went out there, because it was still on. We couldn't do it unless we were going to sit at the bar next door and just watch it on our phones, which I wasn't going to do. That's the only other way that we can get around it. So somebody gave us the rundown on it. It was one of the producers of the show, or Watch What Happens Live. Kyle, thanks. Kyle Steele remembers that because Kyle had a necklace that said Kyle on it.
Super nice guy.
Very nice guy.
I got so stuck on that. I don't know why. It's still like, I kind of want a necklace that just says Steele.
You should do that.
Yeah,
we'll get you one.
I probably won't.
That's
okay. Anyway.
We'll get you like a ring that says it. That way you
I
punch somebody in the
worse.
face, you get a little steel on the
Oh,
forehead.
it'd have to be backwards then if that's the case. So then I wouldn't read Steele when I punch them. Because if it says Steele and I punch them, it's like ambulance. Like when you look in the rearview mirror, ambulance is forward because it's written backwards.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Jesus Christ. But no, I mean, we got there at like 8:45. We were out on stage at 9:15 on the dot, and we were back in the green room at like 9:48. Like we were out there for 33 minutes total, and it felt like 3 hours.
It felt like 2 years. It was crazy. And like Shooter said, we got mic'd up and we were standing back there. The craziest part is like adjacent to our room, and we had like the little green room. It was still a nice room, but it said Steele and Shooter on the door, and I'm still so pissed I didn't take that piece of paper.
I know.
But like right adjacent to us is Heather Gay and her whole squad, like her glam team and her producers and all those other people they're 10 feet from us. You can hear her talking. And she was incredible. She was so nice. And to everybody asking, did she look as good in person as she did on TV? She looked amazing. She treated us all with such respect. And she was like excited to meet us, which was crazy. And she was actually more excited to meet Dev than she was to meet us, which was funny.
Yeah, no, that's true. You know who wasn't excited to meet us was everybody that was standing in the pre-party when we got off the elevator.
Oh, yeah.
Like, who the fuck are these guys?
Who are these fucking guys? Yeah, they looked at us like they had no idea. But then when they led us back towards like, the talent area, you could see they started like, wait, who was that? You got some of those. But the initial greeting when we walked in was like, check out these fucking guys.
Fucking guy's got a turtleneck and a suit on. The other guy's got a t-shirt on. What's going on
Where
here?
are they going?
Not to the same party.
We got that joke a lot.
Yeah.
But while we were out there, a funny story, we were, because like in between scenes, like they go to commercial break and we're allowed to just hang out and do whatever. What you don't know is that they obviously give you drinks while you're there because you're the bartenders, but they bring them to you. We were not doing any mixing by any means, and I was just having water, obviously, but Shooter was getting old-fashioned. And
I was getting old-fashioned.
He was getting old-fashions. It's hard to...
That's hand job?
Good old-fashioned.
A little hand job.
Good old-fashioned. No, old-fashions. That's a hard word to pluralize.
It is, yeah.
He was getting some OFs.
Okay.
And...
OnlyFans.
Damn it. He was having a drink. And after every single commercial break, they bring him a new one, whether he's had a drink of it or not. And the alcoholic in me was getting really upset because he wasn't drinking enough of his drink while it was out on the bar. So I was like, dude,
I didn't know when we were going to fucking talk.
I know.
That's the problem. Like, what am I going to be like, throat deep on a big ice cube in a...
God.
Yeah, you didn't like that part of it.
What the fuck?
But like, that's what I didn't want to happen. I didn't want to like be guzzling down an old fashioned and look over and be like, Heather, yeah, great job. Way to go. But yeah, it was really funny because in the green room, I asked for a beer beforehand. I'm like, yeah, calm the nerves, whatever. And they're like, yeah, we've got a 3-drink maximum. We don't want people to be too drunk up there. And I'm like, all right, I'll be here for like 20 minutes. 3 drinks in 20 minutes would be insane. I'm just going to have this one beer. When you get out there, I could have drank that entire drink the first go around, just chugged it.
I wish
got a fresh one, chugged another one. I could have been blackout by the end of it. Now I know better.
Yeah, I'm glad you
for future, if we ever get invited back.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. We would love to go back. I know somebody asked that before too. And yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, why the 3-drink maximum law is in effect.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense looking back now because I was confused. It was like, wow, only 3 drinks. I figured they want you to get like a
I
little,
chugged the first one, the
little
second
loose.
one comes out, and it's just apple juice. Like, we're not playing this game with this
Yeah,
guy.
we've seen this. But the other part of it is, so Andy came over to us and was like, yeah, I'm going to come to you guys like at the beginning of the segment and then we'll go through it, but like just be ready for that. So we were under the impression like, all right, they might come to us in the beginning, but if not, like we're just going to stand here and try to look pretty. He went off script because then he started coming to us like in the middle of the segment. And let me tell you, because I think we handled ourselves pretty well. Like, do I wish I'd asked Heather a question? Sure. But am I glad I didn't stutter or pause? Yes. I'm very glad that it was fluid. I watched it back. I'm okay with the result. But when he comes to you, everything in your brain goes blank.
Yep.
It's like, boop. You're like, fuck.
Time freezes.
Yeah. And you're like, just say something. And you're very aware that you're on live TV.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening
Those
now.
are the only times that you realize it. Like, the easy questions, whatever, just saying hi and waving to the camera, whatever, that's fine. When you actually have to talk and put out a real thought, you're like, oh, fuck, live TV.
Yeah,
Weird.
live TV. But the highlight of the evening, and it's been sent to us, people tagged it or clipped it, I guess, and Andy was talking about, Philly always being ready for a fight. And on brand, as always, Shooter challenged Andy Cohen to a fight, which Andy seemed really excited about. And then JKB cut you off, and we couldn't go further with the fight dialogue, which
That's okay. I was fine with that.
I was bummed. Because I wanted to see
No.
where it would go from there to
I don't
see
think-
if we
I
could
think it
get
was
him up
good.
out of the chair.
That would have been funny.
Just to see if he got up, was like, all right, let's go. Like that would have been funny, but it was a great moment. It landed really well. All in all, it was such a cool night. Deb got to go with us and we got to share it with her. And that was amazing because she's wanted to go to Watch What Happens Live since before we even started the podcast. And cheesy husband moment. I promised her I would get her there before we were like even close to this. Just, fulfilled. Promise fulfilled. Did I think that's how it would happen? Like I would be on it? No. I thought I'd buy a ticket. But hey, how about that?
How about that?
How about
That's the way
that?
to go. I do appreciate, and you said the JKB kind of cut us off. I feel like he actually went for a deep cut of the BravBros too. He started
Yeah.
talking about Real Housewives of Philadelphia.
You did. That's true.
That's what we want.
Yeah, we want a Real Housewives of Delco. By the way, we've been getting a lot of comments that we're from Delco. Let me just clear that up.
You know what? There's a couple people out there that just really go harsh on the Delco accent, so now everybody in Philadelphia gets a bad name.
Oh,
Yeah.
they all get Delco.
They all get Delcoed.
No. We
No.
are Montco, baby. We are 2 seconds from the Philly limit. All right, so back off with that.
Philly limit.
Philly limit. That's what they call it, the flimit. But like I said, it was an awesome night. And then we were back up to New York on Thursday night for our live show, and we got to hang out with Erin Litchie, who is fantastic, by the way. Like, I had an absolute blast with her. She was great on stage. She was great with the audience. She stayed afterwards for like a half hour just talking to people, which I thought was really, really cool. Not everybody does that. And we've had experiences where that's not the case. It's like show's over and they're gone. That wasn't the case. Erin hung out for a while. She talked to everybody. She talked to my mom for like 10 minutes, which was really funny.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was just that was a great night as well. Everybody, all the feedback from the show was really positive. So I was more apprehensive. I was more nervous about Watch What Happens Live just because of the stage, obviously. But I was more apprehensive about the live show because it's our first standalone. It's our first one doing our format. Like, we've never done the podcast live before, so I was wondering, like, will this land?
Well, we got lucky because it was a really good episode of Beverly Hills.
Yes, it was.
We hadn't even, maybe you had thought about this. I didn't think about it until the day of, or rather until I watched Beverly Hills the night before. If it was a clunker of an episode, we would have had to scramble and figure something out because I don't know what.
I had Miami on the back burner just in case. I had ideas. I had thoughts. I wasn't flying blind. Like, I had a couple of things, like, prepped and ready if it didn't, like, hit. But when I watched the episode, I was like, oh, there's multiple talking points here. We'll be just fine.
Yeah, it was great. It was the easiest thing that we've ever done, honestly, as far as live shows go, just because it was the same thing that we always do.
Yeah.
We sat down and we just talked about the episode. We got a little from Erin. And like you said, Erin was great. Erin was engaged. She answered all of our questions. We didn't go too crazy on her. I mean, you asked her if her and Abe were swingers.
I did. I needed to know.
That's fine. That's on brand for us. So she was receptive to everything. She was great with the crowd. And the crowd was great. Honestly, that was the best part.
I think that was the best part.
You were using it to your advantage because you would make a point and then you would say right at the end and then put your hand up like this to get them to cheer. I thought that was kind of fucking bullshit, but here we are. I'll learn for next time.
Well, the first moment was organic. I made a good point, and everyone everyone's like, yeah. And I was like, ooh, I like that. So then I tried to, what's the word? Recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured it out. If I just go, right, guys, then everybody would go crazy. So I found a cheat code.
Yeah,
Don't be upset because I found a cheat code.
It was definitely 50-50 too, because you kept looking over at me to see my reaction to it and realizing that I hated it.
Oh, it was great.
And I wanted you to stop
I
doing
love
it.
it. Was so great. But that, yeah, I mean, our audience and our listeners and being there, knowing that everybody was there to come see us and come hang out was such a cool feeling. And more so, like, obviously we get the temperature of our audience, if you will, in the comments and stuff like that, and the reviews you guys leave and the messages you send. And it's always so much support, and people always say, I feel like I'm hanging out with my bros or listening to my buddies talk, or like you guys are my friends. And that's our goal with this show, is to just, like, we're shooting the shit with you. So to get confirmation of that in person, like, that's how the audience was. It was so fun because we were just playing off of them, and nobody was disrespectful. Like, they were quiet when they were supposed to be. They got loud when they were supposed to, and they were interactive. And it was just overall could not have gone better. I'm so excited for our show. Quick plug, March 6th, City Winery in Philadelphia. This is not a marketing ploy. The tickets are selling really fucking fast, which is really exciting. But I'm not kidding. If you don't buy them sooner than later, you may not have a ticket. We have already almost outsold New York, and we're still over a month away from the show.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want too, especially with it being our own show. We've learned a lot from the first one, which obviously was a roaring success. We can throw that out there now that it's over.
Roar.
Throw it out there. Hey, good one. Nice job. All right. The first one was better. But we did decide when we're doing the meet and greet, it's way better to do it at a bar.
We gotta be at the bar.
Got to be at the bar.
Yeah.
And we've been to City Winery before. Our first show was there when we did it with Zach. So we know that there's a bar right on the other side of the door, and it's right next to the green room. So we can just come right out of the green room and start talking to you guys. We would much rather do that because that was awesome. We could bop around. We could meet everybody. We don't have to worry about like standing in line for pictures and stuff. You want a picture, just take a picture. And then we can obviously do the pictures and stuff afterwards still, but that was way better for us and it was more fun for you guys. Yeah, and that's what we want. So we've got that figured out. So if you're coming to Philly in March, plan on that.
Yeah, the meet and greet's way better because, like, also you don't want to stand in line to talk to us. Like, first of all, we're not that big a fucking deal. Second of all, we would much prefer, like, once again, like, we're hanging out with our friends. Come up, chat, go get a drink, come back and talk to us, join a conversation we're having with somebody else. Like, that's what was happening before the show. And honestly, I think that settled. I didn't have a lot of nerves going in. I was more just excited for our show. But any nerves I did have, I was totally calm by I enjoyed the meet and greet thoroughly because everyone was so cool. And I was like, wow, these are our listeners. Like, these people are all so dope. Like, I love this. Like, the fact that we've cultivated this community thanks to all of you. I want to celebrate it at each show. So just keep buying those tickets, keep coming out. I think that we're going to continue to do more and more of these. Again, this was kind of the litmus test between this and Philly because we were going to plan multiple shows like 2 months ago, and I pumped the brakes. I was like, let's see how it goes first, and then we'll get into them. But after New York, fucking line them up. Set them up.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
1 a month. We'll just start traveling.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like, so start sending us some cities to go to, but make sure, there's other people there to watch. Like, I love the people. Like, someone, who was it? Like, one person said, like, come to this town in England. I'm like, well, how many people?
That would be sick. A little international tour.
Oh, I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, how many people in your small town in England are listening to our pod? Can we fill a house there? A house.
A house.
Yeah,
We call it the
probably.
house now.
Yeah, we'll just come to your house and perform there. What do you think about that?
That would be great, actually.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of fun.
Like a house call. But we did get some questions about Watch What Happens Live and just the night overall. So why don't we do some of those just to answer our peeps? I'm going to get this one out of the way immediately. From Charnick1. Not about SLC. What's the tea on Danielle and Joe? So after the show on Thursday, Danielle and Joe both came to our show, and we ended up going out with them afterwards. We actually went to O'Sheen's bar. We had a really nice time. They were super nice and very catering, and they took us out, made sure we had fun. Great night. I mean, just get this out of the way immediately. This was after all of the Luann nonsense. It was after all the Page 6 shit. What happened was Joe was in a bar, Luann was in a bar before Watch What Happens Live. Someone took a picture and said, what's going on? Danielle was also Watch What Happens Live. They're totally fine. They both came out afterwards. It was a nothing. It was a no thing.
A no thing.
It was a no thing.
A non-thing.
They're totally fine. They both were having a great time at the show and afterwards. Like, that was just one of those things you can't believe everything you see and read because nothing was going on.
Yeah, and it's the off season for, we're kind of dwindling down on the shows. A lot of the shows are finishing up before we pick up with the
Summer
VPR
lineup.
this week, Summer House. What did you say?
Summer lineup?
Summer lineup.
I guess this is the spring lineup.
Yeah, I think it would be. I was really confused by that. But yeah, no, there's got to be stuff to talk about, and of course, people are just going to snap pictures whenever they want to. They were fine. I mean, they were great. We thanked them profusely for even coming out in the first
It
place.
was really cool.
And we also did a good job of not making the show about them because we know how people are going to be like, "What's going on, Joe Danielle over there?" It's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
This is about us.
One, it's about us. Two, they came out to support us. Like, we're not going to drag them. And three, nothing was going on. So you can put that one to bed. But yeah, super fun night. From Dina J 1018, what was Andy like? Did he say he knew of you guys? How were you treated? Car service, drinks, blah blah blah.
Andy was incredible.
Let's stick with
honestly,
that
like
one. How was Andy? Yeah.
that was. We didn't know how Andy was going to be. We didn't know if he knew who we were or anything along those lines. He knew exactly who we were. He said that people tag him in our videos all the time. And he said he likes that we give him a little bit of shit when he's not doing stuff. He's like, keep doing it.
Yep.
It keeps me honest, and he likes to see it because obviously it gets everybody else engaged, and then people can go after it. And look, he's been doing this for a long time. So did we think that a couple of guys standing on a podcast talking about his lack of enthusiasm during some reunion episodes was going to really rattle him? No, of course not. It's Andy. But
No.
he was incredible, and he took time before the show, during the show, to come over and talk to us. And obviously on camera, he was even better.
Yeah, he was so gracious and such a good host, not only on the show, but to us. Like Shooter said, he came over to us every single commercial break and either complimented us on how we were doing, asked how we were doing, or just came over to take a picture. Like, we didn't even see him. He snuck up behind us and like put his arm around both of us to take a picture, which he didn't have to do.
Yeah.
Like, he was awesome.
Or when
so nice.
Steele took his phone out to go do like a little
Oh, yeah.
panoramic video thing going across, Andy caught him and was like, "Hey, what's going
Yeah,
on?"
he gave me the shotgun. Yeah. No, he was amazing, and I think everybody there was. That was probably one of the best parts. Was how nice the entire crew was. Everybody that came to the green room was like, "Can I get you anything? Are you guys excited? Like, do you have any questions for me?" Like, top to bottom, phenomenal job, and Andy was great. But yeah, he did acknowledge. He's like, "Yeah, you guys got a lot of opinions." He goes, "People tag me in the TikToks all the time." He goes, "Keep doing it." And that's something that I think a lot of people don't know, because people ask us, like, when you talk about so-and-so and then you see them in person, like, are they pissed off? There's like a mutual respect, I feel like, between, for the most part, as long as you're a respectful content creator, not just spewing out nonsense, which there are, unfortunately, some podcasts that do. We try not to do that here. But there's like a mutual understanding that our job is to analyze and potentially say things that you might not like, but it doesn't mean we don't like you as a person, usually. There's a few outliers there where we don't like you at all. But for the most part, we're going to comment on your behavior. It doesn't mean that we hate you. And most of the time, in our experiences, Bravo Lebs take it in stride. When you see them in person, they're not like, "Oh, fuck you, buddy." They're like, "Oh, I heard that." And you're like, "Ew." They're like, "Ah, it's all good."
Yeah, they're used to it. The stuff that we're saying is not half as bad as the stuff that happens on social media.
Yeah, exactly. This is one I want to address. Kel Minton. Did you have as much fun as you thought you would? We already answered that. Steele, why did you wear a t-shirt? We went on brand. All right? Shooter went turtleneck and suit because that's him. I went nicer t-shirt because that's me. That's just how it is. That's how it's always going to be. That's why I wore jorts at the fucking live show. I caught some flack for that from some people, but I get equal part praise and shit. Like, half people...
You caught flack for that?
For the jorts?
Yeah.
Someone said, "Can we get Steele a big boy outfit?" It's like, do you think that I wear that unironically? Like, do you think that I don't understand what I look like when I'm wearing a fucking Chevy shirt with jorts?
He also changed before we went out.
Yeah, I did. I had my,
Just because it was cold.
Oh, but we went to the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put on normal clothes. Look, I love the jorts. I love the look, but I also understand, and you should understand, it's the brand, baby. Gotta
All
stick
about
to
the brand, baby.
We're all about the brand here at the Bros. Let's do one more question, then we got some RHOSLC to talk about. Oh, okay. From Kelly D512. Did you ask Andy or Heather if there's anything good in the burn book? We actually did. Both of them told us before we started airing it was a total flop.
Yep.
Andy came up to us. We didn't even ask him. He just said, "Yeah, by the way, the burn book was a total bust."
Yeah, which was really funny because it was after we just got the breakdown from the producer, Kyle.
Who also
Shout
said
out
it was a
Kyle.
bust. Yeah,
who also said it was a bust.
We love Kyle.
We love Kyle. Kyle's great. Shout out Kyle. And yeah, and Heather said the same thing. It was an absolute bust. And, watching it on TV after the fact, you could tell it was a bust. There would have been, that's the thing. If there was anything in there at all that was detrimental to anybody else on the cast, it would have been mentioned.
Yep.
There wasn't. It was just stupid. And we have thoughts on that, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, we knew about it beforehand, and both Andy and Heather had told us.
Yep, exactly. But like I said, all in all, it was a night that we will not forget. It's a high that we will be chasing for the rest of our podcasting career. Hopefully we can get back there in some capacity, but we were just grateful for the
Maybe we
opportunity.
can sit down next time.
Oh man, I hope that would be amazing if we could do that one day. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves at all, but just thank you to all of yous out there for getting us there. We wouldn't be here without you, and we never forget that. We don't take any of this shit for granted. We had multiple holy shit moments last week where we were just kind of standing where we finally had some like quiet time, and one of us would be like, is this actually happening? Like, this is fucking nuts.
Is that when we were sitting in our bunk bedroom?
Yeah, we did get a bunk bedroom at the Yotel. It says, when I booked that thing, it says suite. It said junior suite. I was like, fuck yeah. We walk in, there's fucking bunk beds.
Puts the junior and junior suite, huh?
Oh, I
don't think that's why that
I didn't
is
take it
at all.
literally.
No.
But yeah, we bunked up.
Bunked up.
Bros are bunking up.
Bros are bunking up.
That's what we do. But we got RHOSLC to talk about because we got to tie a bow on this season. We got to, I know it happened last week, but it was such a good season. We'd be remiss not to finish it up the right way. So let's jump in. But that takes us to RHOSLC Part 3 of the reunion. And I've been thinking about this more, especially after the live show, just because someone made a joke about the what my sound bit would be for other shows. And I was thinking about this earlier because I was bored. What would yours be for RHOSLC? I have mine in my head.
No idea. I've never thought about this. Oh, yeah.
Angels.
Well, we do that because the beginning of most episodes, at least when they're in Utah and not Bermuda, they do start off with a little bit of choir music.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, so that would be mine. I, again, can't figure out this fucking soundboard. I've tried multiple times. I'll get it someday. I've gotten way more better at computers. Way more better at technology and computers.
Way more worse at words.
Way more worse. I have, which is funny because I used to be really good at words. I think talking more is making me dumber, which is weird. But hey, what are you going to do?
I think we only have a certain amount of words in our body. And then, have you ever seen that before?
What was that?
If you only had like 1,000 words
Eddie
to say
Murphy.
in your lifetime or something.
That was Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
That was like what started the downtrend of it. That and Haunted Mansion sent his career.
Yeah.
Then it came back.
Wait, that was a movie?
1,000 words, yeah.
Was it really?
You don't remember that? And
I remember like it was just like a bar question. Like you just kind of asked.
Oh, no, they made a movie, and he was some kind of celebrity in L.A. because he lived in a house in the hills, and he had a tree in his backyard, and every word he said, one leaf would fall from the tree. And when the tree was empty, he could no longer speak.
What a dumb movie.
It was not a good movie, but it was a very bad movie. And then Haunted Mansion tanked, and I think that his career kind of went for a little while. But he's Eddie fucking Murphy, so he obviously came back.
Yeah, he's fine, yeah.
But yeah, there's a little
Eddie Murphy tidbit for you.
Eddie Murphy cinema trivia for you. But let's get into RHOSLC Part 3, and we start out with like the makeup and the glam drama and the game drama, and this is all going back to when Lisa had her meltdown about the drag thing, and we find out that Lisa's had glam since 2019. She hasn't done her own makeup, and if anybody else said that, I'd be like, there's had to be like a time where you put your... I guarantee you she really hasn't done her makeup since 2019. I actually believe that.
Yeah, I feel like once she got a feeling for it, there's no sense in going back.
If you don't have to, though, that's my whole...
Yeah, what the fuck do I care? This is also why we watch housewife shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Do dumb shit like that I haven't even thought about.
No.
Like say things like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
And Mary's like, is that, it's an insecurity thing. It's like, maybe, but at the same time, if you can afford it, why not?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? I didn't think that was that bad. But
better than spending $10,000 a month on Instacart for makeup.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing it yourself.
Oh my God. Do you have to bring up the other Lisa? Come on now. We're not talking Miami right now. It's 305. Anyway, why I wanted to talk about this scene was only because of the impressions that start coming out. And first and foremost, Monica's Lisa impression is spot on.
It is.
But my whole thing was everyone's doing impersonations of each other, and most of them are bad and almost like making fun of the other person. But we see the entire group laughing. Everyone except when Monica does it, but when Lisa's impersonating, when Whitney's impersonating, when Mary's impersonating Whitney, all of the other women in the group are laughing at it. We haven't seen that before, especially with this crew. There's usually like somebody will get pissed off or upset because they're too sensitive about it. And this to me shows, and we heard Heather say it at Watch What Happens Live, like a common enemy will unite even people that have so much history. And like to see this group come together, I don't know if it gives me hope for next season, but I'm curious as to what direction the show is going to go and if everyone's seemingly cool.
I think it gives me hope for next season because if they are seemingly cool and Monica's role this year was to bring the rest of them together, because that's something that we complain about all the time.
True.
There's a divide, there's groups, there's people that just don't hang out with each other, so they're talking shit, but it doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
Those are the things that we want to avoid moving forward. So yeah, if Monica's behavior was able to bring the rest of the cast together, and then we're sitting here next year and friendships are falling apart again, that's more fun to watch.
I agree. But I mean, we'll do our predictions for next year at the end, but this leads us to the body shaming comment. And that's when Mary was on Watch What Happens Live and said that I didn't know that, was it Gucci?
Yeah, it was Gucci.
Gucci made a size 14. And obviously we all took that negatively because it was a really fucked up thing to say. Two things here. One, as she's explaining it and as I watch it back, do you think she was trying to be mean or do you think she just says whatever comes to her mind?
I don't care what she thought she was doing. It doesn't matter. It's what she said, and what she said was mean.
You're correct.
That's really
100%.
like the only thing that really matters here. It's Mary, so who the fuck knows?
That's very
She's
true.
absolutely nuts.
Hmm.
We still need that little cult documentary.
Oh, dude.
Because we need to figure out what the fuck's going on there. But overall, it doesn't matter because there's only one.
Alleged cult.
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome.
But it ultimately it just doesn't matter at all. You made a comment, no matter what it is, if it's taken a certain way by the masses, then that's what it is. It really doesn't matter what your intent was. And look, do I think that maybe Mary is crazy enough to even suggest that that wasn't her intention during that? Sure, I guess. But it's Mary, so who the fuck cares? It was mean. That's all that matters.
Super mean. And that leads me to my second point.
How else would you take that?
You can't
not?
take it any other way.
Yeah.
I wasn't defending it.
If we had to like put ourselves in Mary's crazy minds, though, what could she have possibly
I
meant?
think she could have honestly been like inner thought, like being, oh, I didn't know that they made a size 14 and just said it out loud. But regardless, my point why I brought it up in that way was to say, why is everybody so quick to be like, oh, thank you, Mary? Because we see it multiple times here. She says, like, she tries to clean up the street a little bit by saying that, like, oh, I didn't have that intention. And Heather's like, oh, okay.
Well, and
Cool,
then she
thanks,
complimented Heather and said that she looked pretty tonight.
Yeah, I know. And she said, like, oh, you
That
stole
should have
the
been a red
show.
flag right there.
Agreed. But everybody, and like Whitney goes on to say, like, well, I've always been scared of disappointing Mary because of what comes out of her mouth afterwards. And that just shows you how not aware Mary is.
Yeah.
She's like, what are you talking about? It's like, go back and watch the show, Mary. Anytime anyone says anything that you, even if it's not an insult, Heather can write something nice about you in her book, and you still have issues.
I think when it comes to Mary, the group's a little divided on this. Whitney is definitely scared of Mary. She's afraid of
I think
some sort of
but that's my point,
retribution.
the
I don't
whole
think the whole
group.
cast is.
You
No.
don't?
No, I think that there's a certain line that if you're maybe a little more comfortable with everything, I feel like Heather just doesn't care because it's like Mary doesn't really hold any weight in this group, so I don't really give a shit. I think that there is maybe early on in the season, but you could even tell when Heather was saying like she's not going to apologize for her coat and her necklace.
Right.
She was laughing it off. I think that kind of told me right then and there she doesn't really give a shit what Mary thinks, which you shouldn't.
No, you absolutely shouldn't.
Everybody shouldn't, or nobody should care what Mary's thinking or saying at any given time because she doesn't matter in the scheme of the show.
She's
a
married to
nothing.
her grandfather,
Yeah.
step-grandfather.
She's a no thing, as you said
Okay?
earlier, right?
She's a no thing. She's there for comedic relief, and like, I don't know, I'm so back and forth on whether or not she's like should be part of the show or not.
She shouldn't be as involved as she was this year, which she wasn't involved that much. She should just pop up at random parties. Like
And
we should
say-
see
yeah.
her like we see Kim Richards at this point. Like, you just kind of come along. You don't really get a lot of camera time, but you pop in and you make a comment here and there. We're good. Like
Yeah,
you come to a couple parties a season and that's it.
I'd be okay with that, but
I don't care if your son is married or not.
I don't either. That's
No,
the thing.
none of that
Your
matters.
side stories don't matter because we don't dive into your life enough, and when we do, you say mean shit. So I don't know. I'm sure she'll be back in some capacity, but especially with Monica being gone, they need to fill that void. But that takes us to Bermuda and all the shit that popped off, and obviously what took hold and center stage this season. And we start out with Heather's speech, which hang it in the Louvre if you can hang a speech in the Louvre. It's so good. Every time I watch it back, I'm like, I remember watching it in the moment and just being like, wow, this is cinema. Good for you, Heather.
Who do you think had the better performance, her or Meredith on the beach?
I think that you give Heather best lead in a,
This is a cop
in a
out.
yeah, and then you give Meredith best
It's a cop
supporting.
out.
I think
Answer the question.
Meredith.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Meredith.
That's definitely the right answer because Heather had that written down. We know, and again, she even said this on Watch What Happens Live, so it's normal for us to understand this. She said that she was putting the pieces together before the season.
Yeah.
I think that she's letting on a little less than what she actually knew. I think she knew pretty much all of it before the season even started, and I think that she pretty much just spent the entire season acting, especially when she was around Monica, maybe just trying to get out a little more dirt to see her involvement, whatever she was doing. Heather's pretty smart. Like she, as far as this entire group goes, I would say that Heather's probably the most intelligent.
Yeah.
So I think she was putting the pieces together without involving everybody else to kind of see organically what happens, without letting Monica know what's going on and what she knew. I think that she knew this the entire time. So she probably had that whole speech written before they even went to Bermuda and was probably rehearsing it. Meredith was acting in the moment.
That was so good, Meredith.
Maybe it took a couple of takes to get it down, but
why does this keep happening to us?
and the wind's blowing naturally through her hair. Yeah, that was incredible.
Oh, there's a fan. You just
Little
didn't see
shawl.
it. There's a fan off screen, just like blowing all their hair. And also, to your point, if that was Heather's plan, stellar gameplay. No
Yeah.
issues there. No
yeah.
issues at all. You got to play the game. She played it the right way. But we start to get into Monica's side of the story. And we find out that the page was started in 2021. And that was actually after she had been contacted by the FBI and after she was done working for Jen. This is when she decided she was going to expose her. She had given her statement. That's what I wrote down. So she is already working with the FBI to try to dig up some shit on Jen. Now, Andy's question to her is like, when did it start involving the other ladies of the group? And her whole thing is that she didn't feel as though she dragged anybody else in any of these posts. Now, there's two ways to look at this because she technically didn't say the things. She's reposting what Jen Shah said, like the tranny comment, and there's a bunch of other mean shit that Jen Shah had said. But when you're perpetuating what she said over and over and over again, you're keeping that alive. Like when you keep posting the tranny comment, that's keeping the tranny comment alive. So maybe you didn't say it, and maybe that's your justification for this whole thing is like, well, I didn't say it. I was trying to expose Jen. Doesn't matter. Like if you can't see, and Andy says it later, like, can you not, like, are you actually surprised that they're upset with you? And she's like, honestly, Andy, I am. It's like, well, how could you be?
Yeah, we saw this going on for pretty much the entire time that we've known that Monica was doing this. She uses Jen Shah as this like security
cop-out,
blanket. Yeah, so now everything that Jen says, if she's quoting it verbatim and putting it out there on social media, it's what Jen said. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just letting everybody know. And I think that maybe it had originally started with I'm going to let everybody know, and then it's going to get some traction on what Jen said about these women, and maybe I'll be able to bring these women into the fold, and they're going to start commenting on it and be involved. But once you continue to do that, and you, especially with the training comment, that popped up multiple times, like that's fucking insane. You keep doing it over and over. Heather hasn't noticed yet. Heather's not reaching out and saying, oh my God, I can't believe that Jen said that. Let me tell you everything I know about Jen, and we're going to be able to put her away for life. Like that didn't happen. I don't know what kind of warped rationale you had, Monica, while doing all of this and reposting and reposting and reposting. It gets to the point where you're the mean one. You're the one who's spreading this because you're not letting Heather and the other women who have been slighted by this page move on. Because every time that you bring that back up, social media runs with it. Maybe people didn't see that the first time, and now they have all new comments about it, and they're continuing to comment on it or tag Heather in it, God forbid. So Heather now has to see this. You have to let people forget so that they can finally move on. You can't just keep pushing it out there because it's just going to keep biting them in the ass.
Well, that's my whole thing with it when she takes the approach of, my intention wasn't to hurt the other ladies. My intention was to bring down Jen Shah. Mission accomplished. Why did you continue on? Why did you carry this further? And there were so many other approaches you could have taken than a smear page on Instagram. Like, that's my whole point. Like, if you're trying to gather...
Yeah, what was that accomplishing?
That's my point. Like, if you're trying to gather info and you're trying to out her and trying to do all of this, you're seemingly saying it's because you want her to go to jail. That doesn't happen because of an Instagram page. The FBI is not like, oh, look what Reality Von T's uncovered. Let's go get Jen Shah. They have fucking actual evidence, actual footage, actual evidence.
Not to mention, Monica already did her part.
That's
if
my
you are
point.
truly an FBI informant and you already told whatever investigator was going through everything that you know and you helped them with that, what the fuck are you going to Instagram now? And you're not doing anything. It's not like you're posting secure documents that you saw, which would have been illegal, but secure documents that you saw on the security cameras that you installed. You're not doing anything along those lines. You're just putting out the mean things that she's said. That's not going to help. That's not going to hurt Jen Shah's case.
Agreed.
They don't care about any of that. That's just a woman being a bitch.
Right.
So, like, what you can't move. I just don't understand it. And look, Monica, I don't know if she's explaining around it. I don't know if she's.
This is her rationale. In her brain, this is okay.
Yeah, and that's why I can't really like wrap my head around is, does she truly believe that this was the right thing to do and that she was actually helping the FBI by doing this? Because I could actually see that. I think she is dumb enough to think that her activity on Reality Von Tease was helping the investigation.
I think so too. I think that there is a part of her that as she's driving by Jen Shah's house saying in a video, I don't want to get a ticket for stalking or a citation for stalking, and then you're claiming you weren't stalking. If you're driving by somebody's home more than once, fuck that. If you drive by somebody's house once without telling them,
if you're fucking vlogging you driving past a woman's house with binoculars, you deserve all this hate. Like, that's where I come from, where like, this is just not a smart person, and she got caught and she was unprepared. And I feel like that's why, yeah, you kind of want people to go toe to toe. Like, I want to see what Monica has. I wish that she had more receipts. I wish she had like actual damning evidence versus other people. Like, Heather showed up very prepared. Heather had everything that she needed, and she had more, honestly. Like, we obviously go after the iconic line about receipts, timeline, proof, screenshots.
nice.
That was correct, right?
correct.
I have a hard time with those things. But yeah, like, we go back to that line that she had in the finale. She showed up at the reunion and she did all of her homework. She had, I don't know where she's getting the, it sounds like a lot of this was just posted on the page or posted on Monica's page, that she was able to pull videos down of Monica literally stalking Jen Shah's house. She was prepared, and she went into this knowing fully that she was prepared. So that makes it even better, because when Monica's sitting across the room just yelling these like childish high school insults, you can just tell her to shut the fuck up, because she's losing, and you know she's losing, and that's where the confidence comes from. I would have much rather liked, just for the sake of entertainment, not that I'm rooting for Monica, but if Monica had anything, just to lean into that and just push back, because then it would have been a much better show for us. Instead, we just watched her get beat the hell down, to the point even where everybody gets up to go to the bathroom and she's just sitting there sulking on the couch. Like, it was funny though. We didn't know what we were going to get from any of this. I'm fully in the court of, all right, everybody just destroyed Monica, and she kind of deserved it because of all of her behavior, and she confirmed all of that based on this reunion. Now I'm happy to see that, because this is the downfall of Monica, and people are bitching about it. Like, you got to bring her back. She made it relevant. No, she did. She did what she did, and she's done. Yep. We're not bringing her back.
No, and I completely agree with you there. I think that she served her purpose. I think that she had good gameplay for the whole season, because she had this ace in the hole, so to speak. But when push came to shove, like, that's what these reunions do, and you see whether or not they can hang. Even Angie had a nice reunion. Like, she was able to get her point across.
Yeah.
She was able to speak up. And like, anytime you back a housewife into a corner at the reunion and they immediately revert to shut up, you bitch, like just throwing out insults, you lose. And that's what Lisa kept saying. You're not good at arguing. You're not good at this. And she's totally right. Like, you have, even if it's a nonsensical argument, which we see Lisa do it. Like, it doesn't always connect the dots, but she always has a rebuttal that in her brain works. And it does work, just because you're like, all right, well, it's a response. With Monica, it was just a lot of name calling. It started to get really immature, and that's when you lose an audience. And I'm pretty confident in saying this. One, had she had a different approach, had she come in and said, look, I started this account because of Jen. It got out of hand. I apologize. I think there was a way for her to get back in. I know at the end of the show, everyone's like, nope, we're out. Nope, we're out.
Yeah.
And I think that actually, and we're going to talk about that in a sec, is residual Jen Shah trauma. But I do think there was a way for her to work her way back into the group, or at least leave the door open. I think because of how she went about it, and because she got eviscerated by everybody else, that was the nail in the coffin of her Bravo career, or at least her housewife's career.
At least her housewife career. And I think, and the question that I want to ask all the people out there, and I'm sure some of them listen to our show, what do you think next season would look like with Monica?
Right.
After this performance? And people are pining for it. And look, I get it. You think that it makes sense. It doesn't, because all she's going to bring to the show next year, if she was on it, would be playing the villain even more. And we just watched her play the villain. She doesn't play a good villain.
She did during the
She
season.
did during the season, but that's when nobody knew what was going on.
Correct.
And even when she got during the butter churning thing, she lost her shit. She started getting emotional and crying. We talked about it then. You're supposed to be tough.
Right.
You're supposed to go into this and be able to hold your own,
you are
because
the
that's what
villain.
you're doing. And yeah, if you're the villain especially, and she wasn't able to. Lisa went after her for pretty much nothing, just said that I would kick you off my caravan, and she cried.
Yep, she backed
Like,
down.
she cannot handle it, and we just watched this. Like, if she was a little bit better, and she was a little more vindictive, and she could go after people, and she had any sort of proof for something to go back at what Heather was saying, then yeah, maybe she can come back next year and she can hold her own. Nobody's going to want to film with her. Everybody's going to just push her down, and nobody's going to pay attention to anything that she does. And she's going to sit there and she's going to smile, and she's going to try to make up every other reason under the sun for why they don't want to talk to her. And that's all we would get. So no, it doesn't make sense for her to come back to the show ever.
No, just hang her jersey in the rafters for one of the best, if not the best, one and done seasons of Housewives history, because you can't argue that it wasn't.
I don't know, recency bias. I'm off of her now.
No, but I still think you can't be recency biased with it when you look back.
It was a
at the
great season. It was
That's
an
what I'm saying.
incredible season, and her appearance on the show made the show relevant
It
again.
brought them back from the depths of hell, honestly.
It did, and that's what we do need. But again, with my recency bias, just the way that she handled herself in this third part, I don't care.
Yeah, and that's fine. I still think you give her flowers where they're due, but we're not even talking about the burn book, because the fact that she even, like, you cannot do it in jest.
Do we think that it was definitely tie-in merch for
That's what
promotion
I
for
think,
Mean Girls?
Absolutely.
I think it had to
It
have
looked
been.
way too, like, it was way too close to the real burn book. The fact that the first 5 pages were jokes was so dumb.
It
Like,
wasn't
if
even
there was
it was just the same thing that we saw in Mean Girls,
but
with their
like,
pictures.
Yeah, which is like, why? What's the point of that? That's not going to do anything.
Yeah, and she said that if you get to the end of it, Andy, there's real stuff back there that we can talk about. It's like, there wasn't.
No,
we
the
would have
end of
heard it.
was screenshots of the grid.
Yep,
That's
which we
not-
already went through.
Right. Like, we can go to the Instagram. We don't have to do that. So the burn book was a total flop. Again, just nailing the coffin closed even further. But that's when we start talking about the mafia rumor a little bit. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is Meredith vindicated from the mafia rumors.
No, I don't think so. Meredith is still snooping around and reading DMs. I still go back to that one line that she had when they were in Bermuda. I'm a little behind on my DMs. That's fucking insane.
That gets stuck.
Just
on you.
based off, yeah, like, we have an Instagram page that has a lot of followers and a lot of people message us. I don't go through all of them. I don't really, I mean, like, read the funny ones, but it would take forever to go through all of
I
them.
try to
can't-
reply as many as I can, but it is hard. They back up.
And but like some of them are rumors that people have heard and they want us to talk about them. And it's like, we're not going to do that. So if I know that there's like a rumor somewhere in there, I'm probably not going to read it. Meredith has way more followers than we do. Way more people are watching her TV show. They're DMing her. She must have thousands and thousands of DMs that specifically go towards rumors that she heard, or that person heard in Salt Lake, that might appeal to her. The fact that she's going through and reading all of those, she's looking for something. No, she's not. She's not vindicated at all.
I agree. I think that we need to, I don't know, dig further into the mafia thing. I think that's probably dead next season. But
if she
has
repeats the same
patterns.
behavior,
That's
yeah.
what I mean, like, she has patterns, and I think that she got, and I don't know how involved she was in the mafia thing, and I don't even know if she was, but I'm saying to completely vindicate her from it without looking into it any further.
It was a smart play though, and obviously it's the low hanging fruit. She just blamed Monica.
It's easy.
And that because it's easy, exactly. You can just say whatever the hell you want and just say, we went to dinner and you were telling me all of these things.
Yep.
And Monica can't deny them because everybody's going to believe you.
And everyone's going to think Monica's a liar. But my
Uh-huh.
whole thing with that, because people are going to be like, you guys hate Meredith. We really don't hate Meredith. My whole point with this is we've seen patterns in the past, and I haven't gotten answers from her, like, because she was vague in her responses. Backed up. My DMs are backed up, this and that. It wasn't very forthcoming, and that I still have questions. But Andy brings up a really good point in saying, because Monica's hill to die on here is that I didn't say these things. I didn't start the rumor about Sean being gay. I didn't start the rumors about X, Y, or Z. And Andy points out, if you say them on camera, you are saying them because you're now bringing it to the attention of millions of people potentially. So that is you saying it. It might be somebody else, but as anybody that watches Bravo knows, anybody that's on these shows know, it is not public knowledge until you say it on screen. And when you say it on screen, that's intentional. You're doing it on purpose. You want this to be brought to light, to become a storyline. No one says anything on camera by accident. We've learned that in our tenure here. There is 99% of the time, there is a point to everything being said. So Andy makes a really good point. And Monica, you can see her defense just starting to whittle away further and further. The deeper we get into this, the more she's losing and she has no rebuttals. That's when she starts just saying, shut up, shut up, shut up, and shit like that. But that takes us to the last thing we need to talk about. And this is where I got to ding Heather, because up until this point, I thought she handled herself well. I thought her responses to Monica were on point. We got a haymaker in the last episode of the black eye. We got some kind of resolve, finally. Oh, Jen did do it. Great. We don't learn anything more about it.
No, I don't know. It still seems like she's protecting Jen.
You think she still is?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, in some weird way, it seems like she is. Because why not just spill it all?
Do you think
there's no way that you don't remember? Like, I don't know. Like, how blacked out do you have to be to not remember specifically when somebody punched you? Like, you remember the aftermath and like who's there and stuff.
Bro, I've definitely been drunk enough to not remember getting punched.
Well, you're excluded from that comment.
Like, you're saying that, I'm like, that's really fucking easy, bro. Like,
all right, fair enough. But I feel like in some way you definitely remember the aftermath of it all, and it's damning that Jen was there the next day. It looked like she remembered. Her head was in her hands. She was hanging low, and like she took the first opportunity as soon as Heather said, "I got you. Don't worry about it." She took it. And she ran with it because that's who Jen Shah is. She evades those things all the time.
Not really, because she's in prison right now.
Well, she was able to evade those things all the time until she wasn't. Thanks, Monica, I guess. For putting her away.
Monica Stan. You Monica apologist.
Yeah, no, you already apologized for her.
What?
Yeah, you're an apologist.
Oh, fuck off.
Come on.
Gaslight.
I'm not even gaslighting.
Right, guys? Right?
No, I still feel like she's like, why not just go all out? Why not just say, yeah, like I do vaguely remember her. It could have been in some horseplay. We could have been like wrestling or something like that. I don't care what it is. I just want to move past it. If we start next season and we're still talking about it, I'm going to lose my mind.
I'll be furious. And I think they know better than that. I don't think they're going to. But my whole thing with it is this. And this is why I think that she is still protecting. I don't know if it's protecting Jen or just protecting the situation, because it got so out of hand. And I had forgotten the production part of it. Like, Andy, I'm really glad brings all this up and doesn't like just give her a pass, because what she did was fucked. Like, she made a joke, quote unquote, about, a handsome man in production as like a rough sex joke. But again, as soon as we talked about it on our podcast last year, as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, fuck, production hit her? Like, whoa, that's a totally different thing.
Yep.
She lit a bunch of fires in an attempt to cover this up. So I'm now thinking, did this get so fucking crazy that she's trying to put it to bed gently, to give just a little bit more where she can be like, no, this is what happened. That's literally all I remember. Because now she's saying, at least I'm giving you something, but us at home, I'm like, that's still not enough. And did this get so out of control that you don't know how to get out of it? And then you shot yourself in the foot by bringing it up at the end of the season. And now you're like, fuck, I got to backtrack again. Because you don't want to make yourself look bad.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Hopefully she's just putting it to bed overall. The thing that bothers me about the production of it all, if it's Bravo production, and as soon as she says that, as soon as it's on camera, as soon as you hear the audio, you would have a sit down with Heather and go through it all. You would have lawyers. You would start talking about things like that. That shouldn't have been on TV at all. Like, I don't care under what pretense, until there's a possibility that it might have been, and you're looking into it and actually investigating it. That shouldn't have been on TV at all, because like what we talked about last year, we're going to go into that and be like, oh, fuck, like they left it in here. Like, Heather's talking about it. It's a possibility. Are we serious about all of this? Then everything goes into question. As soon as you know that it was in production, and production wasn't even there at that point in time, you shut it down. You don't let that go on TV, because that brings everything into question, and people are going to start bashing Bravo production for it, and that's unfair to them.
Yeah, and that's what Andy was saying. You know, this puts people's lives and jobs at jeopardy by perpetuating lies and rumors and things like that, such as the production line from Heather. But at the same time, Bravo as a whole, by pushing this dumb fucking storyline all last season and allowing us, the audience and podcasters and content creators, to speculate for over a year, you made this bed way messier than it had to be. You know what I mean?
Just left it out entirely.
They should have. They should have moved on from it and found a different storyline. Instead, they made this whole thing up.
You have a fucking criminal on your cast. Just lean into that. Seriously. Just point everything towards her.
Where I'm like,
we know where it is.
Is everybody afraid of Jen Shah? Like, was Bravo
Maybe.
afraid to go after her? Like, that was the most confusing part. Was they had such a layup, and we talked about it after the reunion last year because we were like, "Fuck this show." That was so easy. Follow Jen Shah the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Make her go to court and follow her into the fucking courtroom. Like, do whatever you can to give us that. Instead, you get this rumor that gets way out of control, puts people's jobs at jeopardy because Heather said a really dumb line, and we still don't have any kind of ending. There's no way to tie this together and be like, oh, okay, cool. But fuck it. Like, just move on.
Yeah,
We're
drop
done
it
with it.
entirely, hopefully.
But that takes me to my last point, and that's about the Jen Shah trauma. And I think that this also played into the entire group being like, we did the, what is it? The soft and warm and fuzzy, cold and
Prickly.
soft. Where am I getting soft from?
I don't know, somebody soft.
Hot and warm or soft? I don't know.
You soft and big dick.
What?
Saltburn.
Oh,
Yeah.
big soft dick?
Big soft dick.
Yeah, no, that's Dev's line.
Come on.
Hey, I'm glad you brought that back. I'll say that a million times. But my whole thing is watching them go through one after the other and say there's no way of reconnecting back with Monica, and they all use Jen as kind of the jumping off point. We've been through this before. I've dealt with somebody like this before. I'm not doing it again. And there's a lot of instances in which you can say Monica is a lot like Jen.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because she spent time with her. Maybe just, two peas in a pod, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I totally get being like, Heather saying, I won't trust anybody fully that hacks security cameras, that drives by people's houses. That's fucking nuts. Agreed. But I think there's an underlying thing here where they all got burned so hard by Jen and were so scared of Jen and felt bullied by Jen. And the trauma is still clearly there. This entire season we felt it, right? Like we thought we'd move past Jen. We thought we were done with it.
Yep.
Her residual effects are very real. And this group is still, I think, kind of scared of her, even though she's in prison. But I think also they're just trying to get past that stranglehold that she had on the group. And by allowing Monica to come back or being okay with potentially reuniting in the future, I think you're opening the door to that same trauma. And like you said earlier, you got to forget to move on, or at least forgive, forget, move on. But you can't do that while somebody is still reminding you day in and day out and doing crazy shit like stalking and then saying she's not stalking. Like that all makes sense. And I guess my question for you is, with this, I guess, come to Jesus moment, like where everyone's kind of finally like, this is why I felt this way. Do you think we can finally move on? Is next year going to actually be the fresh start season that we were thinking this year was going to be?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I feel like this was cathartic for them. And obviously, we know that it brought them together because they had a common enemy. And yeah, we can point to Monica and say that she did a lot of the same things that Jen did. But we also can point to the rest of the cast and say they didn't put up with it at the end.
Right.
They immediately shut it down. So I feel like that tells us, the audience, that they're learning and they're moving on from Jen and they're not dealing with that shit anymore. Plus, we do know, because it's been talked about, there's going to be new housewives in Salt Lake City next year.
3 of them.
So I think that that'll do it. Honestly, I think that we're going to get these new housewives. I don't know what their relationship is to the rest of the cast, if they have any sort of ins with maybe 1 or 2 of them, but we'll get to see all of that. And that's going to take up a lot of the time at the beginning of the season. So I feel like there's going to be new storylines. And again, like I said, this brought them together and it's going to set them up for a bigger crash when they inevitably just start arguing with each other and they get into a fight about something stupid because Meredith started a rumor or whatever might happen. So yeah, I do think that next year is going to be a completely new look, but it's still going to have a lot of the familiar faces, and we're going to be eager to get into that to see how the fallout affected them and where we go from here.
Well, we know that they start production on February 5th, and there are 3 newbies coming, full-time housewives. So now I'm nervous there's going to be too many of them, and we're going to...
That's the issue.
That's the issue. But
3 new ones is crazy,
but we
but
got the core 4 plus 3
I think so.
plus Mary Asterisk. We don't know what her role is going to be yet.
It'll be, yeah, I mean, it's the core 4 plus Angie K, who's now, maybe it's
5.
core 5.
8?
So there's going to be 8, yeah.
Oof, maybe one of them is a
But
friend.
you know what? I'm not okay with it, but Salt Lake already had one of the lower cast member counts, if you will, as it was.
Let's
'cause
try
there's only
and
a couple,
see.
so let's expand a little bit and see.
Look,
Look, Bravo, the way Bravo works, we want it all and we want it now.
yeah, that's true.
So let's throw 3 out there and just see what sticks. And if one of them is a dud or 2 of them are duds, just drop them and then we'll keep moving on.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I can fuck with that. But let's get on to some questions. Okay, from Miranda E412. Do you think Andy should do a sit-down special with Monica? There's a lot we don't know.
No.
Absolutely not.
Monica had enough time to prepare, and she did not.
Yep, don't need to see
I don't
it.
care.
Don't need to see it. From way away, would you give Monica a pass in your friend group pretending she stalked one of your shady friends?
We don't have shady friends.
1, 2, no. That would be, I would have a very serious conversation. If Shooter was stalking somebody, I'd be like, bro.
You would be in the car with me for the stakeout.
No, I
And
wouldn't.
we'd bring steak. And we'd eat steak, and it would be a stakeout. Come on.
No. Yeah, no.
Fine, all right, dude.
That was
You don't want to stake anything out with me? We could do a stakeout.
On who?
I don't know. Figure it out.
I don't like this.
We'll have a new contest.
Oh, jeez.
Which one of our listeners wants to get stalked?
No. I don't like this at all. That's not going to happen. Don't worry. From Vasco CID. Vasco Sid? I don't know. Do you guys think that Monica is actually a one and done, or can she be put on pause?
No, she can't come back to Salt Lake.
No, she can't come back to Housewives.
She'll just pop up somewhere else on a show that we won't watch, probably.
She's on Traitors. She's not on it. I'm not saying that, but
going
like,
to be.
she's definitely like a Traitors or a
Or
House of Villains or an Ultimate Girls Trip where you get a bunch of like the villainous ones. You could do that.
Yeah.
But no, there's no capacity in which she can come back to Salt Lake unless it's like 3 years down the road and she goes on like some retreat for a year where she like finds herself with a sound bath.
I don't think she's going to do that.
I don't either,
I
but
think she's stuck in her ways.
no, I don't think there's just no way. Like there's no storyline. She's not going to talk to anybody except for Mary, and I don't need to see Monica and Mary for an entire season. That doesn't sound fun. And the last one, just because it popped up again from Abby Martinson. What does Watch What Happens Live smell like?
It smells great.
It smells great.
It smells like success.
Yeah, it smells like you made it.
There you go. I'm glad you leaned into that one.
You like that?
Yeah.
But that's all we got. And don't forget to buy tickets to our live show March 6th in Philly at the City Winery, back where it all started, our first ever live show. But go get your tickets. They're selling super fast. And we don't want you to miss out, especially if you're one of our BravBro G's. Get them ticks, bruh.
BravBro G's?
BravBro G's. I've said that like for a year. You
I don't think
just
you
now
have.
heard. Yes, I have.
When?
Fucking forever ago.
I don't think you have. I'm not even gaslighting you right now. I've never heard that before.
I've said it so many times, but it's usually towards the end of the episode when you zone out because you know there's like 1 minute left, and all I'm going to say is, anything else? You got anything else? That's probably
That's
why.
a possibility.
I didn't. No, I have said it multiple. I think I've commented it. BravBro G's.
If you've heard Steele say this before, make sure you send something
Yeah,
to us.
please do, so I can show
you
this
just made this up.
gaslighting idiot.
I'm not even gaslighting you. I just don't.
That's
I
what a
don't believe you.
gaslighter would say. I'm not even gaslighting you. That's what you sound like when you talk.
Do it again.
That's what you gaslighting.
Yeah, okay.
But you got anything else? Okay, cool. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media at Brav_Bros. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at BravBros Podcast and get your tickets to the live show.
See you in March.
BravBros are out of here.